From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Judy Gold. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, Jordan Harbinger stops by, and Dave Damashek's here for good sports. And now, you can't see his tax returns, but you can get his stand-up comedy special, and you'll see his Social Security statement. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. A choice, but to get on a mandate, you get it on, man. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for telling a friend. Love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's Phil. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I got stuff to talk about here. Oh, man. Made us a couple reminders. First thing, I was talking to Dr. Drew the other day, and as I do sometimes when I take my dog for a walk, we just chat about life. And, it's interesting. Dr. Drew's a curious guy, and always try to tell people to be curious, and then there's so many people that aren't curious, but if you're not curious, you don't learn anything. And who are these people that are...
Those people seem to think they know the most.
The uncurious people.
Yeah, the uncurious and not interested in adding information to their repertoire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Steckler used to say, there are two kinds of people in the world, slow learners and no learners.
Right. And so Drew, because Drew's Drew, he constantly saying, like, what's going on? Or what do you think about this? Or how about that? Like he's floating these notions all the time. And if you spend enough time in front of guys like Drew or even guys like Mark Garagos. Now, I think the common, I guess, mistake a lot of people would make, and certainly the sitcom version of Mark Garagos is a blustery, know-everything kind of attorney who you can't talk to because he knows everything. He's a know-it-all or whatever. But when and that is partially true. But when guys like that start asking questions, it means they've decided you have some answers. Because I think we've all done that version where, like, a Jehovah's Witness has showed up at our door and we're not like, wait, I got 1,000. You're like, okay, all right, here we go. I got to make an appointment, just kind of pushing them out the door. But then you run into people with a lot of answers and a lot of notions and a lot of thoughts. And so they end up asking you a lot of questions. You ask them a lot of questions. I don't know if curious is a state and almost like happy is a state, satisfied, dissatisfied, patient. My daughter has no patience. My son has tons of patience. What is that? How'd they get that way? Are you curious or you're not curious? How do you tell someone to be curious? How do you tell someone to be patient? How do you graft anything onto anyone that is a trait? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It has to be spark somehow. It reminds me of literally within the last 3 days, Christy's been obsessed with Hamilton. She loves it. It's amazing, blah, blah, blah. But now she's like looking up like stuff about Thomas Jefferson and like looking up information about George Washington. Was George Washington really blah, blah, blah? She looks it up. It's like,
I did the same thing.
There's a spark.
Yeah.
Right. But some people don't have any kindling. All they have is wet beach towels. So the spark is the spark. Everyone sees Hamilton and sees a spark. Everyone sees Hamilton. They get the exact same information, right? I see Hamilton. You see Hamilton. Christy sees Hamilton. Everyone sees Hamilton. Hamilton is a spark. So, and no one can deny the spark. Everything's a spark. You hear about SpaceX has launched a rover. That's a spark. You heard it. Well, you heard it the same way I heard it. Now we want to take a deep dive into finding out what's going on, or you just have the spark. So what you want is that kind of dried tinderbox, and then the spark turns into a raging fire of information. Many people, it's a hamper full of wet beach towels, and the spark just lands on it, and it
finds no purchase.
Right. That's how it works. It's funny because we get caught up in the spark, but it's not the spark. because everyone experiences the spark. Everyone is interested in Hamilton, and they enjoy it, and they watch it multiple times. A certain percentage of people then will take these deep dives into the characters and educate themselves. And then there are the folks that are buying books and getting deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And then there are others that just watch it, they see that spark, and then they move on to the next spark, which is the next piece of entertainment that comes down the pike. And, you know, and I realize that it's a wiring. I think we try to fool ourselves into thinking we can take that hamper of wet beach towels and turn it into whatever Tom Hanks was trying to get started on that island, blowing on it with the husk from the coconut. But if it's a fucking wet beach towel, it's a wet beach towel. We think we're going to, you know what our thing is? Like, we got to throw more sparks on it. You know, that's our thing. It's like, oh, okay, not interested in Hamilton, not sparked. How about this story, or how about that story? And amazingly, you'll see the through line, which is no spark purchase, and that's the tough part, and that's the part of, like, how do you bestow that or inculcate that on a child? And if the answer is you don't, I mean, it's kind of a math issue. I mean, we all went to high school with those people, right? Yeah. Not interested.
It's funny because Christie's interest in American history is now coming on at age, 41. But like, I have to imagine she was the same way in high school. Your example, like, this just happens to be the thing now. The thing she's kind of into, that the spark caught.
Well, that's the other thing too, is you will get sparks from a lot of different directions and subjects, ideas, political, entertainment, whatever. And you'll want to explore all those sparks, and hopefully it's going to evolve. It'll go from, boy bands to,
No, but that's what it is in your teens. I mean, it's frivolous shit, but it's still a curiosity.
Right, but I would bet you that Christie in her teens was exploring those other subjects that were sort of age appropriate, but with the same vigor or the same posture that she's now exploring this one. I'm also here to tell you, maybe you can't swap out your hamper full of wet beach towels, but you can refine your fire starting. Like, you can learn techniques that help that. So I was a dried tinderbox looking for a spark, but I never knew how to get the spark to cause the fire. I couldn't cultivate it when I was young. I didn't know how to find. I wanted the information. I didn't know how to get it. I didn't know what to do with it once I got it. I didn't know what it could be converted into. It could be converted into comedy or sales or a dinner conversation.
Or accumulated knowledge.
Right. I did not know how to do any of that. And that, I think that conversion process, that can be taught. All right. Didn't even mean to go down that road, but I was talking to
It's interesting.
Drew. I thought it was interesting as well. I was talking to Drew about, I said to him, we need to get out there. We need to impose this stuff on our life. We need to hear the word no more often. I said to Drew, how many times did you hear the word no when you were a kid versus how many times did my kids hear the word no? I mean, I said the only reason I stopped hearing the word no is because I heard the word no so many times I stopped asking for things. So about
That's one way around it.
I never heard the word no again after 11 and a half, because I realized I'd heard an unbroken streak of 18,000 no's, that I wasn't going to spin the wheel again and just have it land on no. I just stopped asking and would just start leaving the house or buying whatever I wanted to buy or whatever it is. But and you start thinking a little bit about what's going on in our society and how people seem sort of unmoored and out of control. And I thought, people aren't hearing the word no. Like, just, hey, can't do that. Not going to happen.
Are you talking about kids or everyone in
I
general?
mean, growing up with parents, the number one no sayer in the house is usually dad, and dad's out of the house. The number two no sayer is the mom. The mom's at work all day. The number three is the teachers, and we've decided they're not allowed to say no anymore. We get to say what we want. And now it then bled into the cops. I mean, when you see how people act in front of cops now, picture a version of yourself. Picture a 15-year-old version of yourself watching people screaming at cops and dumping buckets of water on their heads and jumping on top. The cops are in the car and you're jumping up and down on the hood of the car.
It wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't compute.
Your 15-year-old version of yourself be like, what is going on? That person must have inhaled a barrel of bath salts. And what are bath salts? I mean, the point is, sorry.
No, I agree with you, but it's funny because not hearing no, you give the example of, dad out of the house, mom at work. That's a very small slice of the population. What I think is happening is we talked about this before, in order to give your child the best childhood you can, which is a noble effort, but you end up not saying no as much, giving in or getting them what they want, or Amazon will be here in 2 days. Sure, you can have that kind of thing. I think that's probably much more widespread.
Well, the families are broken and the dads are out of the house and the moms are working. Sure. But either way, the ones that are staying together aren't saying no very much either. I mean, my kids don't hear no very much, and they sort of act accordingly. What happens when they get older, they get into the workplace, and someone tries to tell them no? I mean,
they sit down in the middle of a Costco and then file a lawsuit.
Right.
Start throwing things out of the basket.
I mean, we literally just had a bunch of kids at the New York Times telling the editor, we didn't like that you ran this op-ed piece. You need to leave.
But it's called an op-ed piece.
That's not our op.
Ed.
Right. So, but I mean, it's a little scary. And then I also started thinking about this notion of, because Drew's like, what's going on out there? And I've told you guys a million times, we decided that the prime demo in this country was young people and young women especially. I used to say, remember I come back from the sports bar in Detroit and go, why are they pumping Rihanna in a sports bar at the airport in Detroit? Why 12 years ago, why are they pumping it at a steakhouse in Manhattan? Where's this coming from? And then I started really realizing that whenever you talk about television, it's always the demo. The demo is the most important. And the demo is 18 to 24, 34 or something. It's the young demo. That's what you want. You want the demo.
That's a sweet spot, peeps.
Right. And I'd always be like, I don't get it. When I was 26, I couldn't afford a Mercedes or almost any new car. Now I can. What do you mean? Why am I not the demo? I have tons more money than I had when I was. I had 3 roommates and a Zuzu Trooper when I was 28. I couldn't afford fucking top ramen. I had to get the middle ramen.
I had no disposable income in my entire 20s.
Right, but that's the demo. That's the demo. Yeah. That's the demo.
Isn't that the old? Isn't that the old Mad Men thing? You can duke it out with the adults who've already made their choices, or you can hook them young and brainwash them, and then you'll have a customer for life. Yeah,
and that's the adage, and that's how they think. So we took a society and we started steering it toward a young demo, deciding they had all the power. And I could remember talking about how's Kimmel doing in the late night ratings versus Colbert, whoever. It's well, he doesn't have as many in the cumulative, the overall, but in the demo, that's all they care about is the demo. It's they don't care if you have 5 million versus 2 million viewers. They care that you have 10 more in the demo. It's in the demo. I don't even know if they know, by the way, the older you get, you realize that all the TV executives and all the radio executives and all the program directors, they didn't know jack shit about anything any of the time. I'm starting to think that the demo is going to be the same thing. But either way, once you realize you're in the demo, then you're in demand. I mean, now everyone is turning to 19-year-olds going, what do we do? What's next? What do you like? What do you want? What don't you want? And let's please not offend you. We'll get voted out into the cornfield by the prime demo. So that was my demo. I think that demo's going to demolish this society. Thank you.
Speaking of cornfield, just to bring it full circle, everything you were saying about being curious and being curious. The cornfield is literally the thing that I couldn't stop laughing about while you were saying that, because when you were talking about that, I thought, well, but there's a dark side to curiosity. Because when I was a kid or younger, a young teenager, my friends didn't like to go to movies with me because and the big example of this I'll never forget is my best friend still my best friend at the time, and I went to see Field of Dreams, and I couldn't follow the movie. I couldn't focus on anything, and I kept whispering to her, and she'll still text me this every once in a while. She'll text me the words, "But where did they go?"
Right.
But where did they go?
Right.
Like, into the cornfield. Shh.
It's not a kid's movie.
Where did they go? And I can't, it's like, it's not enough that you're just telling me to suspend my disbelief. Where did they go? This movie goes no further until I know everything. So sometimes there's a dark side. You can't focus because you have to know everything.
Oh, I remember watching Smokey and the Bandit with my stepdad. And at a certain point, he didn't talk. My stepdad, John, doesn't talk. But at a certain point, he just leaned over and he went, "You have to shut up. Like, you have to stop asking what's going on, who that guy is, why can't."
That's Smokey, that's the Bandit.
Yeah. I had a lot of questions about Smokey and the Bandit. All right. I talked to Drew a little bit earlier this afternoon, and I asked him for our usual COVID update because there's a lot going on out there now. So he weighed in, and I thought, well, we'll just run that, and then we'll come back. We'll talk to Jordan Harbinger right after this. All right. So that was fun and informative. Now we'll shift gears. We're going to talk about Jordan Harbinger's coming on the show, taking a deep dive into an interesting subject. Sponsored by NetSuite. Got a great segment going on today with businessman extraordinaire Jordan Harbinger. Harbinger. Brought to you by our friends at NetSuite. NetSuite, the world's, maybe it's the business that got me going. NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system, trusted by more than 19,000 companies, and it's the last system you're ever going to need, right, Dawson?
NetSuite presents The Wonderful World of Business with Jordan Harbinger.
All right, Jordan, we're going to talk about a subject that's interesting to me. What is that today?
So I did a deep dive on the type of people that are involved in these scams, like these multi-level marketing scams and these foreign currency trading things, these kind of get-rich-quick scams. That's what I wanted to focus on today, because I see a lot of people falling for this type of stuff, especially lately. There's more of it, and that could just be me noticing it more now. But I feel like I'm getting a lot more questions in the Jordan Harbinger Show inbox about, like, my friend is doing this, or like, hey, Jordan, which one of these do you recommend? Like this crappy protein shake scam or this crappy foreign currency exchange thing? And I'm like, slow your roll, man. You are in 11th grade, or you're 24. You shouldn't be screwing around trading pesos for, like, I don't know, Chinese yuan.
Would Herbalife fall under this definition?
Yeah, Herbalife. I wasn't going to name check them because I was like, I don't know what your policy is on that, but they're like one of the biggest MLM, and I would say scammy MLMs around. I mean, all MLMs are scammy, but they're the name brand.
Well, I can tell you this is one of those things. It's sort of like when the government goes, we're going to raise the price of fuel to pay for the roads or whatever. Like, that really affects poor people. And these scams affect poor people. I've been sucked. When I was poor, I got sucked into 3 or 4 of these things. Somebody tells you the promise of making money, like, especially like you could have an extra $300 a week without even having to go to work. And like, oh, I need that so badly. Like, I need that stability. Like, I was, part-time carpenter, part-time boxing coach, blah, blah. I was making no money. It's like, I could guarantee $1,000 a month and I was like, oh, that would be such a life changer. And the next thing you know, you're sitting in someone's living room, and then they're like, all right, I bought, when I was broke, when I was 19 and flat broke, I was sitting in someone's living room in Studio City in the Donnas, in the Hebrew Heights, in the hills. And I spent like $49 for a starter kit of Herbalife, and I didn't have $49. Like, and then it was nothing. I had this box, with a bunch of shit in it that I never even knew what to do with. But yeah, it totally.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Their job is done because you bought the box. What you do with it now is nobody's concern.
Everybody in that living room is desperate and poor. That's the part that gets stuck in my craw. Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong at all. I mean, these companies deliberately target minority communities. They target immigrant communities. There's this whole. So I walked past the Herbalife convention outside of, I think, Staples Center. This is probably like 5 years ago now. And one thing I noticed was that there were thousands of people outside, but many of them have signs and banners, and they were all in Spanish. And I thought, oh, this must be just for like this very specific subgroup of Herbalife contractors or whatever they call themselves that are Hispanic. And I asked them, I said, oh, is this like a Spanish version of Herbalife? And they said, no, it's just Herbalife. Everyone here's from all over the world. And I was like, all over the world, huh? Okay. I don't hear any English. Everyone's wearing, their flag, and it was like all Mexican immigrants. And I thought, this is really deliberate.
Where's the Norwegian contingency? I'm not seeing them.
Well, those guys are out there selling the hot dogs wrapped with bacon.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mean,
well, they got Antonio Villaraigosa, a.k.a. Tony Villar. They got him, the former mayor of Los Angeles, is now on their board or like working for them. So
that's ridiculous.
There you go. Wow. Right. So
the role he was born to play.
Yes, they probably saw the value in this Hispanic guy who was two-term. I don't know. We did 8 years
at least.
Something.
At least 2 terms.
It felt longer. But anyway, yeah, they recognize that's why they're paying him to put his name on the masthead. Sorry.
They do that and they demolish these communities, and they don't care at all. They really don't care. So the hope of the win, as you mentioned before, it's like gambling, except they tell you that it's a business, but it's not a business for you if you are at the bottom. It's a business for the corporate folks and the guy who's getting paid $200K to be on the board and literally show up for like photos once a year to take a check. And we call it like what is it called? It's like when you sort of launder the reputation of something by putting somebody at the helm who's supposed to be respectable. These companies do this all the time. I know the non-PC term was like whitewashing something. I don't know if we say that anymore, but anyway, it's laundering the reputation of this brand, and it's the hope of the win. It's like, you're going to be able to, like you said, an extra $300 a week, but first you got to call your family and you got to get your friends into it. And that's what destroys these communities of all types, because people who are poor and don't have any money to spend on this crap then have to rope in their sister and their auntie and their friends and their other people that they know that also cannot afford to lose this money. They all go into this, and then suddenly everyone, or the people who are at the top, realize this isn't going to work. And by top, I mean like you recruit a bunch of your friends. Corporate types are fat cats. They recruit a bunch of their friends, and then suddenly everyone's losing money, and they're going, hey, Adam, when am I going to get that extra $300 a week? Are you getting it? And now you got to make a choice. Do I tell them the truth and say, no, I'm $3,000 in the hole? Or do you lie and say, yeah, if you just keep on working, because that's who's paying you back for your $3,000 debt, is the people under you that you recruited. So now you've got to lie to your friends and your uncles and your aunties to keep them in the game so that you don't get even more screwed. And that just drags everyone down, and it decimates a lot of these people's bank books and their friend circles. So it's even worse than losing money.
It's insidious, but when you're used to getting paid by the hour, so none of us have jobs anymore that are paid by the hour. You could take any job and extrapolate it to an hourly rate, but we're not paid by the hour, right? So when you get paid by the hour and you're getting $7 an hour or $11 an hour, or $13 an hour, the promise of getting paid while you're at home watching TV, on vacation, on a Sunday, that is so tantalizing, because I used to think about that all the time. It's always about punching in, clocking in. How many hours did you put in this week? Like, do you want to work Saturday? I don't, but I need the extra money, so I'm gonna put a half day in. And then there's this promise of, oh, you're just at home and you're getting paid. And when you're getting paid by the hour, that dream of getting paid just because is so enticing.
Seductive.
It sucks you right into it, right?
Jordan, I imagine this is probably something you're going to touch on. So excuse me if I'm
No, all good.
But I listen to a lot of podcasts about MLMs. I think it's fascinating. I stay far away from them, but I want to know everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, and please fill in the blanks here because I'm just throwing this out, but you're thinking, well, what the hell? Right when you start to think, what am I doing? What have I done? There's a convention and it's a party and it's a concert. And can you talk a little bit about the things they do to keep you excited?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they do have a lot of, like you said, the convention, like the one I walked past where people are jumping. I mean, this is like people are jumping up and down holding the Mexican flag in this particular case. I mean, don't get me wrong. People of all walks of life fall for this. I'm just saying they target a lot of specific groups. They're jumping up and down. There's a lot of singing. There's a lot of chanting. There's face painting. I mean, it's very much a rah-rah cheerleader environment. With
It feels
MLM.
Religious. It feels like it's a religious revival kind of feel to it.
It's by design as well, because what they do is they offer these things to the people who sign up, and they say that they're free or that they're part of being a part of like whatever the makeup thing is or the Herbalife thing is, but they're not free. You pay. I looked into this because I was like, well, how are they making money if they're giving away these things? They have convention fees depending on which one you're in. You have to pay this, which is essentially your ticket to this convention. And it might be like $350. And they're saying, no, this is just our cost to doing this. We're putting on an amazing show. And it's like, well, it's just your cost to rent the venue, hire the staff to run it, who are the ones who aren't volunteering, pay the Dr. Oz or whoever to like show up and shill for you, and all the other things. And you have to be like diamond super level or above, which means you're paying, $3,000 a month in protein powder in your garage you're never going to use, plus your diamond fees or whatever it is. So you have to pay to go to these things. Then when you get there, it's, if you're not succeeding, it's because you're not trying hard enough. Look, here's Brian. He's been on stage before. Look at that beard he got from this hair growth stuff. It only works on your face. I don't know. And so like they just keep on telling you all these things over and over and over until you feel like, well, crap, it's not working for me. And no, the person next to you is not going to go, I'm broke as hell too, but I spent my last dime to get out here. They're going to go, yeah, I'm diamond level, just crushing life. They're not going to say I roped in my whole family just to get here, hoping to learn some sales secrets from a guy in spandex,
Sales secrets that never come.
Of course. Yeah, they don't come. There aren't any.
Can I ask Jordan a question I've always wondered? And since you did a deep dive, you probably know something about this.
Yeah.
So I don't want to pick on Herbalife. I don't know much about them, but the MLM, the multi-level marketing companies, what loophole allows them to escape Ponzi scheme laws, or what line divides them?
Great question. So a lot of people who are in these, they'll go, it's not a pyramid scheme. Pyramid schemes are illegal. In other words, this very circular argument, like if what we were doing was illegal, we wouldn't do it. And I'm like, tell that to the guy that sells me weed all the time. Before it was legal, right? Like, come on. So this is a circular argument. And the way they do this, what's funny about MLMs a lot of the time is, a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme is you say, hey, Jordan, send me $5, put your name on this list, then recruit 5 people. They'll send you $5. Look, you just made $20 after the 5 you gave me. And I go, great. That's what a pyramid scheme is, right? With people at the top. Well, what MLMs do, they are 100% a pyramid scheme in almost every instance, but they get around it by going, oh, no. You're not just sending me money. You're buying a product from me. And I go, but I'm just keeping the product in my garage. I'm not distributing it. Nobody's going to buy it. Yeah. And you're telling me to just recruit other people. You're not telling me to sell the product. You're telling me to build my team. And they go, yeah, you can do whatever you want with the product, but we're selling you a product. Therefore, it's not a pyramid scheme. It's a loophole. Really, it is.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm sorry, I just want to say, if I'm not mistaken, I believe people at the top of some of these companies, I can't remember which ones, specifically lobbied to make the law that way.
100%. Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of legal crap going on behind. They have so much money. It's insane.
I never really had a fundamental problem with a pyramid scheme if it was presented as a pyramid scheme, which is
like you're getting into.
Well, everyone's going to give $100. It's my idea, so I'll take $1,000. Jordan, you're next. Brian, you're after him. Now everyone's got to go out and recruit somebody to give $100, and if you do a good enough job, then you'll get to the top and you'll get your $1,000. Like, if it's presented that way, in a way, I don't look at it that much different than going to Vegas and sitting down at the blackjack table. It's like, I got money. I'm going to take a chance here. I may not get it back. I understand how this works. Like, as long as it's presented as what it is, I think the problem with this stuff is it is a pyramid scheme. It's not presented.
Right.
That way, which is a big issue. Yes, sorry, Gina. We gotta bring it home.
About this topic. It was presented that way. It was a game called the Airplane Game.
Yes,
the game. Were you going to say that?
Yeah, I was going to bring
Florida.
that up.
What was the Airplane Game?
It was the Airplane Game. Go ahead, Jordan. Sorry.
So they it's been a while, but the Airplane Game is you literally go into this room with like folding chairs and they sit you down in a certain order and you have to pay like $5 to be on the airplane, but you're
like
literally
the pilot,
sitting in like
the flight attendant.
Yeah, you're sitting in like a formation like you would be on an airplane, and then like the pilot gets $10 and the flight attendants each get $5 and everyone else pays to be on there, and then you rotate, and it's the dumbest game of musical chairs in the world, but it's a pyramid scheme. And you're right, like these MLMs, over 99% of people lose money in MLMs. And these are self-reported statistics from companies like Herbalife that say that 99% lose money. So imagine if you're massaging it and you still come up with 99% are losing money, then it's even worse than that.
1% wins again.
1% wins again. Yeah, the 0.4% or whatever it is.
All right. Jordan, thank you very much. We got a little outro here.
What a wonderful world of business. Jordan Harbinger, brought to you by NetSuite.
Thanks, Jordan, for that deep dive. And you can
thank you.
Schedule your free product tour right now. Just get your free product guide. Go to 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits at netsuite.com/Adam. That's netsuite.com/Adam. And Jordan Harbinger, let's see, where should I tell people to go, Jordan? I don't have your...
Send them to the Jordan Harbinger Show. They're already listening to podcasts.
Oh, there they are. Jordan Harbinger Show. There you go. All right. Comedian, thanks, Jordan. Let's see. Judy Gold, comedian. You guys know her name. She's got a book coming out that's very timely. And I'm excited to talk to her because it's called Yes, I Can Say That. When they come for the comedians, we're all in trouble. And I've said this, I've been a broken record on this shit, which is we're comedians, you want to talk. You don't want to silence comedians. And so, once you get comedians to shut up, who think anyone who works for corporate America isn't going to zip it? Lickety split. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with comedian Judy Gold right after this.
The Adam Carolla Show presents Judy Gold's birthday cocktail party for November 15th. Let's check out the guest list. Ooh, it's the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Nickelback's Chad Kroger. Be sure and get a photograph. Ed Asner is here. So is Beverly D'Angelo. From the Tonight Show band, Kevin Eubanks. And a representative of one of the separate but equally important groups, Sam Waterston. Now, back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Well, Judy, I don't want to get off to a rocky start, but that is not a great cocktail party. It's fine.
All right,
it's not
but
great.
Ed would be interesting. Ed,
Ed has thoughts.
Yeah. After hour 4 of him going, there wasn't one Jew in either one of those towers. Not one. Not one. Eventually, he'd have to move on to get the guy from Nickelback.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Not a good cocktail party.
Good to see you. It's been a long time.
Long.
I'm looking down here and realizing, we're up on stage together at the Comedy Central Bar Mitzvah Bash in 2004.
Oh.
Wow.
So Comedy Central turned 13, I guess, in 2004.
In 2004.
And they had me host the show. And Judy, what did you do on that show? Did you co-host? Did you make an appearance?
No, I did stand up. I think I just did stand up.
And are you in New York now?
No, I'm in Provincetown, Massachusetts.
Is that you live there full time?
Well, I live in New York. I left on March 14th.
Oh, good.
I've had this house here since '94. I bought it when I got my first TV job on All American Girl with Margaret Cho. And through those years, those 26 years, I have been told by accountants and personal assistants, you have to sell your house. You have to sell your house. And I'm so fucking happy I never sold this house.
I know. Turns out experts don't know anything.
They don't.
Ever.
Right. And you have to follow your gut. You have to no, I don't know.
I'm utterly with you, which is I had a conversation with a realtor who'd been working the area. It was in the Hollywood Hills. And I bought this house in 1996. It was broken down and everything, but it was a great house under the Hollywood sign. It was like $350,000. And I put a bunch of money into it and I fixed it up. And at some point, maybe 2 or 3 years later, somebody offered to buy it for like $650,000. And this realtor had been working the area for 30 years, said, "Oh, you should take the $650,000 for sure." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, it's not going to be worth $1 million one day. It's not $1 million house." And I said, "Well, to be worth $1 million one day, it was worth $350,000 4 years ago. Now it's $650,000. She's like, "But it's not going to be $1 million house." It's 1.9 on. I did sell it, but not for $650,000, but 1 million, whatever. But it's 1.9 on Zillow now. Yeah, she's what kind of expert is this?
They just want their commission. Everyone is short-sighted.
It's so true. All right, so the book, which I'm very interested in, it's going to be available July 28th on Amazon, which is...
you can pre-order. You can
pre-order it is what I'm saying. Yes, I can say that. When they come for comedians, we're all in trouble. God, I've been screaming this from the top of every mountain for the last 10 years. How say you?
Well, the way this whole thing came about is I did, Vice TV, they were doing this segment on college bookers telling comedians, like these 22, 23-year-old telling comedians what they can and cannot say on their stages.
Right.
And I mean, no life experience, no knowledge of comedy. And I was interviewed as the opposing viewpoint. And I was like, don't you fucking tell me when I get on stage what I can say, what I can talk about. We are comedians. We are social commentators. We want to our goal when we get on stage is to make people laugh. That's it. Don't tell me that you're triggered by a word. And so therefore I should, if you don't like a comic, then change the channel.
Right.
If you don't like their sense of humor, but there's so much that goes into a joke or a bit. Nuance, intent, context. Who the fuck are you to tell me, oh, I can't say that word, it might trigger this one. Or, it's this, and it's the progressive left that has really corrupted free speech.
Well, we've talked about all the time, which is it's not liberals, it's leftists. It's like progressive leftists. Liberal, I think most everyone is a liberal, sort of regardless of political affiliation.
Right.
They're liberal people. And the liberal, we used to just kind of have liberal and left, which is kind of in the same crock pot. Like, liberal, left, liberal. Like, they're the same person. And I'm like, I don't think they're the same people anymore.
Right. Not at all. Just like, Trump doesn't represent the entire Republican Party. So this idea that comedians are being canceled, comedians are, their life's work is being erased.
It's also, I'll tell you what strikes me as you're telling your story, but I've experienced it as well. The notion, and we do this thing, we did it early in the show. I said, imagine being 15 and watching people interact with cops on the news now. Like, you'd be totally confused. You'd be like, what is going on? What happened?
Right.
when I was 23 or 21 or 26, I could never imagine in a million years talking to a seasoned stand-up comedian, maybe a man or a woman in their 40s or 50s, and go, now look, here's some of the stuff you can say, and then here's some of the stuff you can't. I would have been like, who are you to talk to this person? You shouldn't even be talking to them. Why would they listen to you?
Right.
That guy's 45 years old. You're 22. What voice do you have? Why? There's this thing that these 22-year-olds are like fucking drunk with power. And they're like telling you, look, take this tweet down or modify this, or, all right, you're going to do comedy? Let me vet it. Do your set in front of me. I'll give you notes. It's an unthinkable. Nowhere. I don't know if there was another time in American history or world history where 23-year-old or 19-year-old or 17-year-old know-nothing, numbnut, fucking snot-nosed piece of shit citizens thought they could talk to middle-aged people about how they needed to mind their P's and Q's. I'm giving you a little civics lecture or whatever it is. When I was a kid, I would never walked up to one of my friends' dads and trying to explain to him how he had to address me or I want to discuss your tone, Mr. Vendig.
I can't say.
Yeah. Are you kidding?
It's the sense of entitlement and this idea. This is the other thing that gets me. The idea that being, first of all, I believe being offended is a choice. You make that choice, right? But I also believe that, this idea that you can never feel uncomfortable, that, like, what is this? Like, what are you being protected from? Like, oh, that triggers me. I get triggered. You're triggered for the fucking minute your alarm goes off in the morning. There are triggers. Learn how to fucking live, you idiots.
I
Sorry,
agree.
the world does not revolve around you.
And also...
Sorry.
I know, I'm with you. Like I listen to these people talk and they're like, I feel unsafe. And it's like, I need to feel safe. And it's like, first off, safety isn't really a feeling, And if you'd like to feel unsafe, look, anytime you fly in a commercial airliner, there's 200 people inside the 727, 737, whatever, Airbus. At any given time, 8 of them feel unsafe.
Right.
What shall we do? Turn the fucking plane around?
Yeah, no, we gotta stop. They don't feel safe. Yeah.
Okay, I feel safe. You don't feel safe. You're 2 seats away. I don't give a fuck. Drink more. I don't know. What's our plan? So what do you want then? Well, I'd like the pilot to apologize. Like, okay, how does that make this fucking plane safer? Judy, you and I should do a show called Two Middle-Aged Assholes Scream About Shit all fucking day.
That's fine. I'm in. I'm so fucking aggravated about this shit. It's this idea, like everyone ges a trophy. No! Not everyone gets a trophy because you suck at that. So you're not getting a trophy for sucking at something. Sorry.
Well, now, I'm looking down here, and I know you have a couple of kids. And I'm curious what you sound like in front of your kids. How old are your kids?
They're 20, 23, and 18. One's going to be 19. He's playing basketball for Tulane, my 18-year-old.
Really?
Division I.
Yeah. I gave birth to a Division I athlete.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, then...
I'm sorry, but people don't... You're 6'1", 6'2". I mean, you're very tall. You're very tall.
He's 6'8".
Wow.
But he's like a really great athlete. And I, of course, tried out for the basketball team in 7th grade. And the coach, Wayne Carrick, told me I was too tall for the team and it wouldn't be fair to the other players.
What?
I swear to God.
I
swear to God. So I ended up not playing basketball. I was a fucking band nerd, marching band, choir, and now I see... It's just interesting to have a boy who's athletic and really tall, and to see his experience in life versus I was 6 feet at 13, and my experience, and the people would come up to me like with him when I'm with him. Oh my God, he's so tall. Thank God he's a boy. I'm like, I'm fucking standing right here, you asshole.
I know what it's like because I didn't get the speech like your basketball coach did, but I did have a club owner once tell me they couldn't let me do stand-up because I was too funny. I made that.
Fuck does that mean?
I just made it up.
That's fun.
You wish.
No,
With that, yeah, that does happen.
I'd like to explore this subject with you. I haven't gotten into it for a while, but I have spoken in the past about when, everyone knows how tough junior high and high school can be, and especially for a girl, or especially for the guy with the bad skin, or the guy,
Right.
whatever that thing is. Everyone's so vulnerable, and the hormones and everything. And everyone has always talked about, oh, the poor fat girl from junior high. But I've said, you know what? Worse than that, there were a couple of giant girls. Like there was a couple of huge girls, few and far between, but you knew who they were. They were just big.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That defines you. That defines you.
Right.
It was hell. It was fucking hell.
Right. And the thing about the fat chicks is people didn't want to take them to the prom, but they wouldn't openly kind of make fun of them or talk about them because, like, okay, it's not fair. She's cruel or whatever.
Right.
The big girls, they'd kind of make jokes about because there didn't seem to be any stigma there, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was constant Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Orca. It was, and so shut the fuck up. You would have totally made fun of me. That's why you're such an asshole.
Talk about triggering, Adam. Don't laugh.
Wow. You're trying to stifle free speech now.
This is what I had to listen to.
I know, but I didn't get laid either, and I was miserable as well. So
Right,
maybe
that's
we
why you were making fun of, us.
That's right.
But it was always like, my mother used to say that they're jealous. That's why. And I'm like, they're not fucking jealous. Like, she would say the guys were jealous because they wanted to be tall. But it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I was taller than my teachers.
Oh, yeah.
My parents.
But
I couldn't wear clothes. Like, it was just fucking, and it defines you. It's like all you are is tall. But I had a lot more to offer.
Well, thank God you've put it in your rearview mirror and you never think about it anymore. You've turned the page.
Never. Yeah.
No, but were you? I mean, I've been with you in person. You're not overweight person. You're a large person for a woman,
Right.
especially. Were you just a big individual? Like that was just kind of big boned and tall and everything.
I was really, I was a large person and I was really unpopular. So it's not like I could go be, hide in the corner. It was like I really had nothing. I mean, I had my nerdy music and my nerdy music friends, but I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of suburban New Jersey. I was lucky. My parents were older when they had me, but my mother grew up in Manhattan. So I had this idea that there's another world. Like my parents were like, this is not the real world. This is a suburb. I grew up 27 miles from Manhattan. And there were people in my town who'd be, oh, I would never go to the city. It's like, you have the fucking biggest city in the world, like 27. I don't go in. Oh, I would never do that. It's like just this idea that you could be so close and just, isolate yourself so much. And there was that, they do that in their mind too.
My parents had the same relationship with Disneyland, which is it's 27 miles from our house and we could never, no, they're pirates there. Are you kidding me? Yeah. You want to get shot with a musket ball?
Right.
Use your head. So you're I really want to drill down on this miserable childhood.
Yeah.
And
Thanks so much.
junior high. Well, look,
Thank you.
obviously you got a great sense of humor out of it, or did you? Would you have had this sense of humor?
Oh no,
anyway?
we were. I was always funny, and then in my family, look, we all have our family Michigas bullshit, but in my family, being funny or a clever retort or something really snide and hilarious got way more attention. They didn't hug me. They weren't like lovey-dovey. But if you said something really funny or clever,
well, maybe they didn't have a stepladder on them.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, nice.
And they were all tall, so shut the fuck up.
Math doesn't work. Oh, but if you're adopted by Asians, that'd be funny.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a sitcom.
Look, I got on. I was on my first show, All American Girl. I was like,
oh my God.
I played Margaret's best friend. Like, I was like, I'm 6'3". I was 6'3". I shrunk because I had a knee replacement. But I'm like, who? Yeah.
What were your dimensions in high school? Like when you were in the 11th grade, what were your dimensions?
Okay, are you trying to torture me? Like, is this?
No, I'm not. I'm just.
My dimensions. I don't know. I
would have come on today had she known.
Oh my God, my dimensions. I guess I was probably like 6'2". I don't know how much I weighed. Probably like 175.
You were in the marching band.
I was in the marching band. I was gigantic.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's like we need an activity that involves a 3-foot-high fur hat to put on Judy.
Yeah, exactly. So that was great too.
She's got a duck walking under overpasses.
Yeah, it was fun.
What did you play in the marching band?
It doesn't really get worse than this, and I'm going to kill you. But I played the clarinet.
Oh yeah.
So, there's some instruments where you look cool playing it, like, the trombone or the or the drum percussion or the the femmies with their little flutes. Nothing is worse than this fucking clarinet. Yeah, it's bad. It was bad. Yeah. That is one of the nerdiest sections of the orchestra.
So so when you got out of, when did you, I don't want to turn this into a grill session. And I'm apologizing. I'm only saying it because you have a sense of humor. I know you do.
Yeah,
but
I've been through a lot of therapy.
I do. I've very uniquely, and I've spoke about it on the show before, always just sort of thought about the big girls in the class. And I've always had thoughts about that where I don't think other people did.
Here's the thing. You might want to explore that obsession, but the thing is that you're a girl and you're going through girl things, but people react to you differently. They think you're not as sensitive. They think you're not as feminine. You are sort of androgenized, and you're objectified in a completely different way. And this, it's really, and what's interesting is I am a lessy, but it's short men always are attracted to tall women. It's like they appreciate it. And tall men, some of them, but most of them like little, they can pick them up,
Right. Yeah, no, it's interesting because Nate at the other shop who I make the documentaries with is a short guy who was explaining to me the obsession that short guys have with tall women. He wanted to make a movie about it, and I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't really know what that was.
I love that. Yeah, they always, and men of color like big women.
Oh, really? Well, I got a theory about that. I got a theory.
What's the theory? I can't wait. Go.
Well, I'll just put it on myself. I don't have enough penis to handle a Kardashian. There's just,
I got you.
It's there's not enough there for that. You know what I mean?
It's like Monstro and Pinocchio.
Yeah, I've always thought of it as like pulling, like
timely reference.
Like pulling a minivan into an airplane hangar. You know what I mean? Just there's too much. I don't need that kind of height. And that kind of width, I just not enough.
Why do you think you were obsessed with big women? And it doesn't seem like it was a positive obsession.
No, Adam, tell her about when you carried that girl.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Mr. Bernal came in here, my psychology teacher or history. I can't remember Mr. Bernal, but he remembered a story. There was a very large woman, and her name was Debbie. And she was definitely, 6 foot plus and, 185 pounds. She was just the big girl. It was in, I don't know, the 11th grade or maybe senior year. And I think she tried to gussy herself up as Mr. Bernal, who came in here all these years later to tell the story. I'd forgotten about it. But I think she wanted to put on a skirt and like some high heels or something. She probably felt weird about wearing heels because she was 6'1". But I thought at some point she was like, I want to wear heels instead of flip-flops everywhere. And she put the heels on, and I guess she wasn't used to walking around in heels. And she like rolled her ankle and hit the floor. And everyone was laughing and pointing and laughing and pointing. And it was all the usual stuff you'd expect. The big gargantuan woman tried to put the heels on, didn't know how to walk in the heels, fell over on the ground. And Mr. Bernal, as he told the story, I guess, or Gina, you tell it because I don't want to embellish it on my behalf.
I was gonna say, I can't believe you don't remember this, but he said, Adam,
I do now, but sorry. Go ahead.
He got up, he wasn't laughing, he wasn't pointing, he wasn't being, the general assholery of everybody else. He picked her up and carried her all the way from one building to another to the nurse's office just to be a nice guy and not be a dick like everybody else.
Yeah.
I love you for that.
Well, I was super strong in playing football, and Mr. Bernal was like telling her to get up, and she was just crying, saying her ankle was rolled and the ankle was hurting. She couldn't move, and everyone's just sort of looking at her. And I guess I thought, well, she's not going to get up, and I may be one of the only people in this class who could pick her up. So that I did. And
I love you for that because, there's nothing. It's like when we fall hard. And I never wore heels because I can't walk in them either. But I still have this pair of boots I have that are about, I guess, 3.5, 4 inches. And I would go to these like events, premieres and stuff, and I would be like 6'6", and I fucking loved it. But it took me so long to feel comfortable like that. I know this is something I shouldn't be telling you because I don't know what you're going to do with it, but I did not walk by a schoolyard until I was in my 30s because I thought they were just gonna, until I had kids. I couldn't look at his face.
Wow. I don't want to.
I think we can all.
No. I get it. Kids are fucking cruel. Well, kids will tell you who you are, like adults will tell you who you are if you cut them off in traffic.
Right.
And they'll yell fat ass or bald head or triple chin or like whatever the fuck whatever you are, just that'll go. That's what they lead with.
Yeah.
So if you walk past a group of 11-year-olds and you're 6'3", you're gonna hear something.
Yeah, and I just was like, I had enough of it. But it does define you when you're a woman.
Oh, yeah.
It defines you. And it's like so that's why I feel like, part of me, I had a good sense of humor, but also getting on stage, I did my first set at 19. And I was controlling the laughter,
Mm-hmm.
That's a very interesting perspective. So for you, did you go to college right after high school?
I went to Rutgers. Yes.
I went to Rutgers. And then was it always, you got up at 19, so you're in your, I don't know, sophomore year, and you're thinking about, I'm going to do this full time, or there's still thoughts about I'm a chemistry major or whatever you're studying in Rutgers?
Just to bring it home, I was a music major.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I did get on stage. I did have sort of an epiphany of, I had never felt like, your first laugh, there is nothing that compares. And I always wanted to be a performer, but I would never get cast in the school plays because I was too tall. And it was always, you're too tall. And I did this, and it was like, it was like God had spoken to me. If there's a God, who the fuck knows? But it made me realize what I wanted to do with my life. I did end up getting a degree, but I did do stand up through, in college. And then when I got out, I that's what I did. I have no job skills.
Did you, I'm looking down here, Rosie O'Donnell show, 98 and 99. Now, Rosie kind of turned out to be this version of Rosie. There was another version of Rosie from 98, 99 with the Cutie Patootie Chub Club and everything. Yes. How much, and I think I know a guy, I think Daniel Kellison worked for her as well. He used to explain to me that Rosie isn't exactly the right name for Rosie's, for Rosie, but did you experience that back then?
I knew Rosie for years, since the mid 80s. And so I knew her before this whole thing. And she asked me to write for the show after Henry, my first son, was born. And I have to say, I worked on that show for 2 years, and I was the human interest producer and a writer. And I had a really good time, I feel like, look, she's not perfect, but she's not a bad person, She's not a cunt. She's not like, it's this double standard with men being tough and know what they want versus women being tough and knowing what they want. It's one is a bitch and one is, a
leader,
powerful, We equate power with masculinity, but
what I guess what I'm saying is
yeah.
Do you feel like she was trying to be something she wasn't for somebody? Like,
no, I think that was a big part of her. This fangirl. I think she really, like, this was a dream come true for her. Like, that, when you're a little kid and you think, oh my God, I want this, I want my own show. And she got her own show. And I do think there was a part of her that was this, oh my God, I can't believe you're on my show. And then I think that the business also, it hardens you. It makes you realize that everyone's a fucking asshole, liar, this business. So, but I do think that was a big part of her personality. And then after Columbine, she really changed.
Are you in touch with her? Do you
Yes.
correspond? And what's going on? I don't have, my thing is I like Rosie. I don't know her well. She seems tortured a little bit to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She didn't have it easy growing up. And I really think you gotta, when you're sitting at home with your kids watching a presidential debate and someone says, I only called Rosie a fat pig in front of her kids, like that, you can't even, it does something to you.
And do you, I agree. Well, it's kind of what we started talking about, which is, microaggressions and then aggressions and what's said and what can't be said. And I agree.
Right.
No, look, if a comedian gets on stage and makes jokes and you find that threatening, something's wrong. If a presidential candidate gets on stage and says you're a bitch or fat or whatever it is, feel free to be hurt by that or feel damaged by that.
Right. But it's also, why is that even in the discourse? Like, why is that being discussed? Like you look at all these comics who people are bringing up shit from 15, 20 years ago. Like I just got into it about Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart had a homophobic joke. I don't even think it was fun, but he's not homophobic. And I know Kevin Hart. And, as a gay, as a member of the gays, our goal is for people to evolve, right?
Right.
So once they evolve, why do you have to bring up, shit from 15. Yes, we know that's what he said 15 years ago, but he wouldn't say that now. Why do we have to punish? But, I believe everyone has the right to say I will fight for everyone's freedom of speech, even if it's horrible, whatever. But a comedian should not be held to a higher standard than the president of the United States.
Yeah, I agree. And, this notion of we need to control everything all the time is a really bad notion. You don't need to control. Worst. Somebody could write a book you disagree with. Someone could have a cable show you disagree with. Someone could participate in a religion you disagree with. You just disagree. I don't like country music. I don't need to control those who listen to country music. Yes.
Right.
And we're living in a day and age where you can take to the internet and social media and express your displeasure or disagreement, or you have a forum now, whereas years ago that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it's everyone has a soapbox, and it's they don't all deserve it. They don't all deserve it.
Well, also, I think Dawson may be able to find it, but I just wrote a book, and when I was researching this little chapter about what you can say on campus and what you can't say on campus, I looked up the activities board of UC Berkeley and all the events that were going on in the month of May, and their whole shitload of events I wasn't interested in,
Right, of course.
But I'm not going to try to get them canceled. I'm just not going to attend. You know what I mean? So you can have a meeting, and I mean, there was just a bunch of comical stuff you would have no interest in attending, or at least I would have no interest in attending. I would never in a 2,000 years try to get the meeting canceled or the speaker canceled. I just wouldn't attend.
Right. Exactly. It's called freedom. Freedom.
Right. That's right. All right. We'll try to find that. This book, by the way, yes, I can say that. When they come for the comedians, I agree. We're all in trouble.
Because you know what? We are the truth. We are truth tellers. We tell the truth. We talk about the things that make people uncomfortable. And also, comedy is so disarming. If you make someone laugh, they automatically like you, right?
Right.
And it's a powerful medium because you can change someone's mind. I mean, think of all these comics that we started with. There's comics with cerebral palsy, and there's little people. They get on stage and they change people's minds. They educate. There's so much, and we're so important. And when you start shutting down comics, then we really have no free speech. None. Zero.
No, you're exactly right. I'm thinking about someone like Brad Williams.
Right.
He gets up there.
Yes, I spoke to him for the book. Yeah.
He starts talking about what it's like being him and growing up with him, and immediately it's disarming and it's relatable, and then you realize that maybe you don't have that problem or that situation that he has, but you have analogous situations. I mean, look at you and Brad Williams. So you're tallest person in the world. He's the shortest person in the world, but you probably had the same experience.
Right.
Or many of the same experiences in high school, right?
Right. And then next time you see someone who looks like Brad or looks like me, you might say, I remember when people were coming out on stage, and it was the middle of the AIDS crisis. There were so many comics that would come out, not a lot, but enough, and talking about their experience, like Steve Moore. Do you remember Steve Moore?
I don't remember Steve Moore.
At the Comedy Store. Steve Moore, Bob Smith he was the first gay male on the Tonight Show.
Oh, the Tonight Show, yeah.
Yeah, and the way he came out on stage he said, I made my carefully worded announcement at Thanksgiving. I asked my mother if she could pass the gravy to a homosexual. She passed it to my father. Okay. So, but what a non-threatening way to just come out on stage. There's Steve Moore. Steve Moore was, he was HIV positive, and he was getting on stage in the mid-90s saying, all right, if you don't laugh, I'm going to cut a vein open and spray it all over you. I mean, he was talking about things in a funny way, and people were getting educated. It's Don't shut us down.
Is Steve Moore not with us anymore?
Steve Moore is not with
Right.
us. Bob Smith died. He was my best friend. He died of ALS. I mean,
But here's my point. You're talking about him and doing his material. And if he was either not saying anything or doing knock-knock jokes that whoever vetted it said it was safe to do, then you'd have no memory of it all these years later. You wouldn't be talking about it on this program.
right.
I think we have the clip, so says Dawson from the audiobook.
I love Dawson.
There it is, I know. Here are a few events that took place at the University of California, Berkeley in 2018. I had my staff pull for the podcast. These are events I would never go to. Solidarity for Nicaragua. Caravan for Peace. Mother, Daughter, Sister. Film screening and panel on sexual violence in Myanmar. Teaching about dialect. Identity variation and power. Identifying and addressing workplace bullying. Actually, regarding that last one, I'd like to not only attend, but preside. I'd flick the lights on and off once and say, "You're all worthless and weak. Now get the fuck out of here, pussies." Well, thanks, Dawson. Good job. Yeah. Well, it's
love that.
a bunch of stuff on campus that I wouldn't be interested in. But
Who the fuck would...
but who in a million years would storm into that meeting and demand that they be canceled?
Right, exactly. You know, I was at the Cellar pre-pandemic, and Dave Attell says to me, "Do you think I could get away with doing this joke on my special?" Now, I don't remember the joke. It was a Leslie joke. And I was like, thinking to myself, Dave Attell is worried about, like, getting in trouble. Like, this is a problem. This is a fucking problem.
Right.
Dave Attell, one of the funniest guys ever and fearless, is worried about repercussions of it's it's so enraging.
No, I agree. And the part that scares me, it's never the nut jobs that are sort of the tip of the spear. It's all the people that kind of go along with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's people going, well, just don't do it. I mean, why would you even, those people.
Yeah. Why do that? I get a lot of that with, people like, well, it's easy. It's easier for me to not have a gender, just to abide by that. But you know what? But if I want to say it does, I'm not gonna. No, sorry.
No, I completely agree. And the problem with trying to work this new world order with comedians inherently have to be really specific. You can't go, I know this guy, he's a douchebag. You have to say, I have to say a name. You know what I mean? And you have to declare a lot of majors, and you have to be really specific, and it never works if you're nice. I've always said this. I said, there's an inherent problem in that you're on stage, you have a microphone, sometimes people are filming you, and somebody says, "Adam, what do you think about your mother-in-law?" And I go, "Eunice, she's a delight." Next question. Well, there's no fucking laughs then. There's no laughs in saying something complimentary about a politician or your mother-in-law or your wife or your sister or whatever. You don't realize that in order to be funny, you have to be specific and you have to and you have to have a little edge. Like it's not about being nice. Yeah, it's about being honest. Right. All right. You're going to stick around to the news with us, Judy?
Oh, my God, I'm so excited.
All right, let me just hit Geico here for a quick 30 seconds. They're offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies. That's 15% off the top, on top of what you're already saving if you're going with Geico. So what are you waiting for, man? You want to save that 15% and get the savings that you already get when you go with Geico? Never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save the extra 15 when you switch by October 7th. Visit geico.com to learn more. All right, quick break. Back with Judy Gold and the news right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, this didn't last too long. Former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen was taken back into custody Thursday morning and is now at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn after the Federal Bureau of Prisons said Cohen violated the conditions of his home confinement. How did he do that? Well, reports are that he was seen at a restaurant in Manhattan, which raised concerns that he was in violation of his home confinement terms. If that name rings a bell, he was the former attorney of President Trump, who was imprisoned last year after pleading guilty to several charges. And he was released to home confinement, but he just couldn't stay home. It was time to go out and get a meal.
Can't do that during a pandemic. You know what I mean?
Ballsy.
Like, I'm not a big fan of hanging around at the home, but if you gave me an ankle bracelet and told me I had to, I'd hope there was a pandemic. You know what I mean?
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you can't play softball. Good, it's hailing outside. Fine. I'll stay in.
Exactly.
It's so, you see the photos of him at this fancy Upper East Side restaurant. It's like, what are you fucking doing? Seriously?
Yeah, expensive meal.
Why? And by the way, I do like I don't know if these kind of snitches get stitches as well, like the super white collar snitches. Like, who dropped a dime? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, somebody had to be sitting in that restaurant.
Well, people were posting it. It was in the New York Post, and people were posting it on Instagram. That's why you have no fucking privacy anymore, you know?
Jesus Christ.
And you got out. Like now it's like you were supposed to be in there until at least next November. They got you out because of the pandemic. So sit your ass home. You got the lucky lottery ticket.
Yeah, there it is.
Him. Yeah. This is why I always wish I had a twin brother so I could just fucking plausibly deny everything all the time. Like, oh, yeah, the guy got a little handsy at summer camp. That wasn't me. That was Kurt. You know that guy.
Good defense. Wasn't me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, at the Fine Bistro enjoying his freedom. That's Kurt. That's not me.
I wish.
Yeah.
Really, and a really expensive restaurant. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he wasn't home long, and we'll see what happens to him. I've been very curious about this question, so I thought I'd throw it in since we're talking a little pandemic stuff. Judy, as I'm sure you know, people traveling to New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut from 8 additional states will now have to quarantine for 14 days upon entering, bringing the total number of states on the governor's travel advisory list right now to 19. And that's, I mean, you can look them up. It's 19 states that if you get there, you have to quarantine. And my thought was, well, how the hell would they know? And it was very hard to get an answer to that. I had to do some digging, but I found a few things, like when you have to quarantine to go to Hawaii or quarantine to go to Chicago. This is all I could piece together because I was like, what is this pomp and circumstance? Who cares? Well, they do care. And a spokesperson in Hawaii said the neighbors are all turning people in, violating people with, Airbnbs or people visiting. That's led to at least 20 arrests. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says their state is using information gathered from basically the manifest from your airline. So they will track you that way. He says they do random checks off that database from the plane. They can ask you on Facebook to show your surroundings of your room, just randomly make sure you're in a residence. Chicago hasn't been as specific. They did mention a violation as a misdemeanor, which could lead to fines and up to a year in jail. So at least there's some kind of answer.
Well,
that's insane.
I dropped off Ben at Tulane at New Orleans, not last weekend, the weekend before. And we had to fill out a piece of paper before we got back to New York, saying where we were, how long we were there, every place and the flight, at the gate when they're making their announcement, the one was like, you have to get your paper at Governor Cuomo, and it was like the disdain in her voice is making everyone fill out this paper. This is on order of Governor Cuomo, and they're all sitting like, fucking cover your face with that, like putting your mask on your chin. Everyone's an asshole.
True. Wait, is Tulane the Waves? Is that the team?
Green wave.
Green
Yeah.
waves. Yeah. Seems
I don't think I
random
can
to
say
me.
this. I don't think we're allowed to say this anymore, but I had friends who went to Tulane many years ago, and they're Jewish, as I am, and they called it Jew Lane. Is it still?
Yeah, they call it Jew Lane. Yeah.
Is it still a very Jewish school?
Oh, it's Jewy Jew. And there's every street is named after Jew, Leaner, Jew, every the Jew Health Center, the Jewy Grill, the Jewy Jew, the Jewy Stadium. Yeah, it's all Jewy.
Okay, just making sure it was still there.
Really? How did that happen?
I have no idea.
How?
I know.
Now I'm scared. How's the basketball team?
Ben's the only Jew on the basketball team.
Okay, good.
They keep great records.
Yeah. Really good records. Yeah. There he is.
Wow, look at that.
Wow.
That's my baby.
Wow. See?
Great shot.
He's
Nice.
number 32, though, not number 25. That was
Last year or something?
that was last year in prep school. That was his.
Oh,
school.
but geez, that's like a playing card. Nice. All right, what else you got, Gina?
Well,
Grad?
Some pretty sad news, and again, this is as we're recording this because sometimes things will pop up when they're sort of breaking. But the Ventura County, that's here in California, the sheriff's department searched Wednesday afternoon for Naya Rivera. She's the actress from Glee. She was the cheerleader with the dark hair. Heather Morris, who we've had in, it was kind of her counterpart in the show. The Glee actress and singer disappeared in Lake Piru, a Southern California lake. She's presumed dead by drowning. What's worse is her 4-year-old son, who had a little flotation device on, was discovered unharmed in a rented pontoon boat just floating adrift. He reportedly told authorities his mother went swimming without a life vest and never came back. Scuba teams have been, helicopters, drones, everyone's been looking. At this point, there is no word. And just to kind of further the sort of tragicness of this show Glee, Corey Monteith has died. Mark Salling, who had a lot of issues, he died. And Naya Rivera's son is being reunited with his father, Ryan Dorsey. They divorced in 2018, but really out of nowhere.
Did she?
Sad.
Do you think she went out to commit suicide?
I mean, why would you bring your 4-year-old and let him adrift in a boat? I don't
Nancy
know.
Grace said not to rule out foul play.
Ooh.
Please
Nancy,
don't. Please don't. It's too soon.
What Nancy, sorry, foul play. What could possibly happen? To me, it's either she went to kill herself or she went out to go boating with her kid and maybe had a couple of cocktails or something and went into the...
I don't know why, Adam. I don't know why you're always putting this on the victim. When I say foul play, I'm not saying that she did anything. I'm saying we are going to find out. Nancy Grace, being a former attorney, we are going to find out what happened to this poor girl, and it's usually the husband.
But the husband wasn't there on the boat, Nancy.
Okay, technically she doesn't have a husband, but I'm just saying usually it's the husband.
They said the kid was sleeping in the boat.
Oh, God.
Well, what about Natalie Holloway? Did they ever solve that one?
We are this close, Adam, to finding out where that poor girl went, and I don't want you to give up on me like I'm not going to give up on Natalie.
Natalie'd be 87 years old today. Is that true, Nancy Grace?
And a very happy birthday to Natalie, whom we will never give up on. By the way, I follow Nancy on Instagram, and she just did an RV tour of America with her family, and it's amazing. And
it's good?
It's great. They went to the Grand Tetons. They went to Yosemite. The kids don't seem super happy to be in the pictures, but I love Nancy Grace. I truly.
Wait, so Glee is like the band. So they have 3 dead people and a bitch. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Jane Lynch?
Leah.
Who's the bitch?
Leah Michelle. They were all saying she's a big bitch. Horrible.
It's a nightmare to work with.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jane. I know she's in the tribe. Sorry.
Let's turn things around and
Different
focus
tribe,
on a hero.
Yeah.
This is crazy, and God bless football players, which, I just don't have a reason to say that every day. And I'll show you the video in a second. A former high school football player dove to catch a baby who was dropped from the 3rd floor of a burning building. And this video is everywhere. I'll show you in a second. Philip Blank is a former wide receiver for Kalamazoo Central High School in Michigan. He was a U.S. Marine, and he ran out apparently with no shoes on. He was visiting a friend at this apartment complex, raced over to this other section and dove to catch this child. There's a guy you can see in the picture standing there, maybe going to do something, but he said, I didn't trust that this guy could catch this kid. And it wasn't a perfect catch, but it was as close as they were going to get. They said the baby was like twirling like a helicopter in the air, fell, and I'm going to show it to you because it is quite heroic.
Third story? Yeah.
Just flames just shooting out, and there goes the baby.
Oh my God.
The head was sort of cradled in his elbow. So no damage there. Ran away. The really sad stuff is, then they'll just keep showing it. There was an 8-year-old daughter. She was saved by another Good Samaritan. The mother did not make it out of the building, but she threw the baby, and the baby was caught.
Well, first things first, that was great, but then he spiked the kid and started to dance, and that's when the damage took over. It was his instincts as a ball player.
Right.
You can't control the instincts.
Celebrating.
Boys,
you've just mentioned 3 kids who are going to have major emotional problems.
Yeah.
The one in the boat and the 2 that were, in the fire.
And if we could have fucking combined the 2, we would have been fine. But no, we had the fire and we had the water, and they shall not meet. It's unfortunate. Yeah,
changed gears, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
let's
go
talk
ahead.
about someone who lived. The thing that I'd heard about the kid on the boat, which I don't know, it was some solace to it. They said when they found the kid was sleeping on the boat. Like at least they weren't
not crying
or freaking out, or who knows how that worked. But anay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did I not just say that?
Did you? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're like my kids. You don't listen to a fucking thing I say.
Well, let's switch some major gears because I think we need it. Let's talk about something very important. Bob's Big Boy.
Yeah.
This is a restaurant in Southern California with an iconic, we may have the mascot, this iconic little mascot with this little boy and red and white checker overalls with a little dipsy-do hairstyle.
Judy knows she dated him in college.
I'm a lesbian.
I know, but it's still the joke worked. It still was a giant.
Right.
Man, okay.
It's funny.
So recently, they have an arrival of a new chicken sandwich to the menu. Well, who cares? Well, guess what? The reason why this is a big deal is because to celebrate the new item, the restaurant dusted off a forgotten character from its history, Dolly. Dolly is replacing Big Boy as the restaurant's official mascot now. Fox News reports that Dolly was a character featured in the Big Boy comic book series from the 1950s. She'll be the new mascot. While the change is in the mascot appears to be a simple promotion for the sandwich, a spokesperson said they're implying a more permanent change to take place. So maybe it'll be Bob's Dolly.
I was tweeting about this like 2 weeks ago about tearing down. Oh, you can find that tweet, Max, about it, but it's funny. I was talking about this from several weeks ago, and turns out they got to it, although it was self-imposed. The mob didn't get to the statue of Bob's Big Boy. Bob got to it.
Well, you don't know that. It could have been inside pressure.
Could have been.
It would have been funnier if you said Judy knows that's her kid's sperm donor.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been a funnier.
I'll tweak that one.
Try that next time.
Stage, yeah.
My son's 6'8". Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the punch up. Let's see.
Yeah.
Big Boy.
Yeah, if you want to take down a statue that is beloved by white people and throw it in the river, I got your next target. It was Bob's Big Boy. Yeah, that was a few weeks ago, right?
Well,
So it turns out Bob is gone.
he's out. Yeah.
What else
What is
we
the
got?
point of that? What is the point?
A Bob's Big Boy?
Of them doing that.
I think a lot of people go, we're not in the conversation. They're always talking about In-N-Out, or they're talking about Chick-fil-A, like good or for bad.
Right,
There's always
right.
something going on, and and I think I think you have some kid who works for you who goes, I'm going to get us in the conversation because we're not getting in the. There's probably a part of them that secretly hoped a mob came to tear down Bob's Big Boy and spray paint Black Lives Matter or something, but they're getting no traction, and they're, everyone wants good publicity, but in lieu of good publicity in general versus no publicity. I mean, everyone goes nuts over Chick-fil-A a few years ago, gay marriage, the owner, whatever's going on, but you pull in front of the Chick-fil-A, there's a line around the block, like.
Well, then they should change Dolly's name to Karen, and then they'll get a lot of publicity.
That's right. That's a good point.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well, you both mentioned Rosie O'Donnell at the beginning of the show, and so interested in your thoughts on this. Rumor has it Ellen DeGeneres' talk show is on the chopping block. This comes amid all the reports that ratings are down and growing accusations of her not being very nice behind the scenes. The Ellen DeGeneres Show reportedly fell 14% in the ratings to a new season 17 low, according to The Sun. And fueling the downturn are stories of the star's rudeness. A few months ago, Ellen became the subject of a viral Twitter thread that called her the meanest person alive. Since then, several guests have accused her of treating them badly. For now, her production company denies that it's being canceled in any way. And it's been on the air since 2003, but a lot of the word is out.
Judy, you must know Ellen.
Well, we all knew about Bill Cosby, and a lot of us know that, I've heard the stories. I've spoken to people who've worked there, and, first of all, she dug her own grave because, she's in her palatial estate while I'm stuck in my fucking apartment in Manhattan. Well, I was here in my house, but whatever. And she's talking about, she feels like she's in jail.
Right.
And meanwhile, there are people that are stuck in there are people living on the street, living in the subway, I don't know.
She's in a small resort.
Yeah. I've said a million times, because you do everyone's show, Judy, you know this from experience. When you do people's shows, daytime show, late night show, whatever it is, you walk onto the establishment, into the establishment, onto the property, whatever, you enter, and there's a vibe that immediately starts coming off of the people who work there. And if you do the Tonight Show with Jay Leno and you come walking out, there's a very laid-back vibe. People are laid back. You go on to other shows like Letterman or Ellen, and there's a very panicked vibe. You get it from the person who greets you in the parking lot, to the person that's in your green room, to the person that, hair and makeup. It permeates the place.
It's all from the top.
It's like when you're a kid and you'd go to your friend's house and both parents were smokers. You know what I mean? You just open the front door. It's like, there's that smoke. It's coming from the carpet. It's coming from the dog. And it's like they didn't have to be smoking at the time or even home.
Right.
They're just a smoking couple, or the weird religious friends, and there's some that's that way, or grandma staying with us friends, for 2 years. Like, you walk into the house, the door opens, you walk in and you go, okay, I get an idea of which way the wind is blowing here. And when you walk onto Jimmy Kimmel's show, you don't get that feeling. But you definitely get that feeling. And that feeling goes from laid back and cool and chillax to everyone is scared shitless.
Right.
And they don't say, I'm scared shitless, I'm your segment producer. They just are scared. And you get it. You get it. And you start to watch everyone and they seem scared.
What was the story, Adam, about don't mention meat?
Well, the other thing then they start doing is they go, you're not going to touch Dave or talk to Dave about, or like, you get a long list of like, Ellen doesn't like it when, she doesn't like exhalers. So you're not planning on breathing. I think you get a long, like, here's what, and you realize, that's what scared people do. Scared people do that. And when you do Jimmy's show or you do Leno's show, you don't get
or Stephen Colbert's show. That's a great show to do too.
I've never done that show, so I don't want to talk out of turn, but their shows take on personality. Howard Stern's show has a personality, not good or bad, or Howard's is good, I should say. But the point is there's a personality that the show takes, and the show takes usually what the boss's personality is like. And so
that's the same on sitcoms. When you go on sets of shows where you're doing a guest spot, it's the same thing. They're nice. The stars are either nice. There's nice feeling or shitty feeling. You know,
right?
It so comes from the top. Look at the Matt Getz and all these people. They're all fucking assholes.
What's shrapnel is he in? What? So, but you feel it, right? So when you walk, and by the way, everyone else is living with the smoker. So their sweater smells like smoke and they don't even know it. But when you walk in, you go, oh, something's palpable here. And there's been a few shows over the years that I've walked onto and I've went, oh, what's going on here? Why is everyone so scared? And so when I did Ellen's show, that was my sense. I was like, what's everyone so concerned? We're doing a fun time, daytime, whatever show. Why am I feeling this? And then later on, I think I spoke to a former writer of hers, and he just kind of said, it's a fucking shit show. Like, no. And so
I can't believe she had you on. You don't seem like the type of, you know.
It was a one-time mistake.
Yeah, milquetoast kind of.
Yeah, I probably did it. I may have even done it more than once. I don't know. Look,
wow.
I was on The View, for Christ's sake. Look, I've been on everything. You stick around long enough. Every show but Colbert.
Colbert.
God damn it.
Well, I could tell you about it, what it was like.
What's the vibe?
Okay.
No, but the vibe, this vibe smoker thought analogy's right. Am I correct, Judy? It's done everything?
Perfect. It's absolute. You do. You get a feeling. And you see how people are either happy or they're fearful for their jobs or like they're going to get in trouble if you fuck up, if a guest fucks up. It's like, it's horrible.
And there's also this thing too, where like, if you say to your segment producer, like if you say to your segment producer, I was going to talk about the Christmas Vacation actually, but actually I want to talk about something else. They'll go, and you go, yeah, just tell Jay that we're going to flip the script a little. If they just go, okay, yeah, I'll go tell him, and they just walk out, then that's fine. If they start getting nervous, like, what do you want to do? That's scared. That's
an indication. Jay Leno, I did his show a few times, and it's like, hey, how you doing? It's like, okay, we're going to have a good time. It was so easy.
Yes, it doesn't have to be that complicated or that difficult. And also, as someone who used to host shows, I realize making your guests feel uptight or confused or nervous or anxious before they go out and perform is not good for your show.
No one wins.
So yeah, just tell them to have fucking fun out there and relax. We're glad to have you. Say whatever you want, then walk out. I've always felt that way. But anyway, so I don't know. Maybe the chickens are coming home to roost for young Ellen, but she's got to be worth.
But see, it's double bad because she, be kind. If you weren't like proselytizing, like be kind, be nice to everyone, then it wouldn't. It'd be like, okay, she's difficult, whatever. But
I also in my realm of my constant evaluation and licking my finger and holding it up in the air, I was at a wedding with a world-class band. I mean, a world-class band, and everyone danced the night away, and Ellen never danced the entire night. And I thought, wait a minute, you don't love dancing.
Yeah.
You love people thinking you love dancing.
Right.
I have that relationship with my kids. I don't love my kids. I love people thinking I love. Oh, shit, I've said too much. All right, let me hit Legal Zoom, and then we'll get on to our next story. It's a new world out there, lots of new challenges. If you need some legal help and you want to overcome your challenges, might I suggest Legal Zoom? Our own Mark Garagos sends people to Legal Zoom all the time, and he actually uses Legal Zoom himself because it's a faster, easier, more efficient way to take care of a lot of your legal questions without getting that big fat billable hour. So you want to start solutions for COVID-19 and all the other situations out there. You want to protect your family. You want to do a will or living trust. You want to start a business with a DBA, LLC, or nonprofit. You can get started. Do it all online. You don't have to leave your house. They have a network of attorneys that can provide advice. Since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you won't have to leave your home and get charged a billable hour, right, Dawson?
Visit LegalZoom.com today to take care of some important things you need to get done. That's LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom, where life meets legal.
All right. What else we got, Gina Gran?
Well, I'll tell you what's not going or changing in any way, at least right now. The car used during the first season of The Dukes of Hazzard, which ran from 1979 to 1985, is currently in the Volo Auto Museum in Crystal Lake, Illinois. The 1969 Dodge Charger, known, of course, as the General Lee, sports that Confederate flag on the top. And Volo director Brian Graham says the General Lee display is not going anywhere. Graham says the vehicle is a symbol of television history. This comes as, of course, Confederate flags and statues are being taken down everywhere. He says he hasn't received a complaint about the General Lee, but instead has received supportive words from people who appreciate the museum not being swayed by public opinion.
They also, everyone always talks about the General Lee's offensive roof flag, but they have an offensive horn. Too. Do you know the General Lee has an offensive horn?
That's right.
It's not just visual. It's audible. It's the land of cotton. Look away. What is that song?
Dixieland.
Dixieland. Yeah.
Yeah, Land of Dixie.
Right.
Land of Dixie. They really leaned into that shit. I mean, by the way, I think that whole thing was probably filmed in I don't know, Simi Valley, California or something. Like nothing was in the South. But yeah, see if you can find their horn, because the horn needs to be silenced as well. Go after the horn. Well, I don't know. Or maybe we could play the lunch truck La Cucaracha horn next to it to try to drown it out. We'll have a little horn off there.
Horn off.
What is that? Is that song offensive? Is Dixieland offensive? It's got to be offensive, right?
Wasn't there a story about University of Tennessee changing the song or something? Because that's their fight song, right?
Oh, there must be. Yeah. Well, I wish I was down in the land of cotton, old times there and not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. And it sounds like very pro South, right?
Yeah, what is look away, look away? Don't see what you're doing to all your fucking racism? Is that what you're looking away from?
That's the subtext, yes. I don't know. I don't know what look away. Dawson?
I don't know, but I remember a few weeks ago, someone called and said that their favorite show was The Outlaw. The favorite Clint Eastwood movie was The Outlaw, Josey Wales. In that movie, if you were whistling Dixie, that's what you would be doing in the South, so that if you came across people that might not know which side you're on, you'd be whistling Dixie and they know you're from the South. And then if not, there was the Union, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. That was the North one.
Oh.
That's
all right. You got the horn, Max Spanner? Oh, man. I just got fucking triggered.
Wow, I can't believe you remember that.
What do you mean? Every time my phone rings, that's what it sounds like.
So
I hate it when I'm with my black friends. Sorry.
Should we stop saying you ain't just whistling Dixie?
I was going to say,
I never knew what it meant.
I never fucking said it in my life. So
you're not from the Midwest.
Yeah.
That was a big one in Kansas.
I think the term whistling Dixie means you're faking it.
Oh.
And so if you were a Union guy and you're going down to the South and you don't want to get killed by some good old boys, you'd be whistling Dixie.
Wow, Dawson.
There you go, Dawson.
Dramaturgist.
That voice.
Yeah. Turns out the paddy wagon was named after Irish Americans.
You don't say.
Go ahead. One more, Gina.
All right. Well, Johnny Depp is back in the news and he's fighting back. His libel suit against Britain's The Sun began on Tuesday, and a number of things were revealed. The actor suing after the tabloid described him as a wife beater in 2018 in an article. Johnny took the stand to deny hitting Amber Heard or any other woman, claiming it was inconceivable to him because of his Southern upbringing, and added that the sociopathic actress was the abusive one. Johnny also made the claim that he decided to divorce Amber after she or one of her friends pooped in their bed. As a prank or a joke, he thinks. In a written statement, he said it was the final straw in a troubled marriage.
Yeah. I try not to combine the straw and poop because then you start going weird scat German.
That's right.
But there's a whole part of the dark web that just is devoted to straws and poop. But he is getting crazier. He seems insane. Now, I saw footage of him.
That doesn't make him a wife beater.
No, he's fine. He's a delight. But
who shits in someone's bed? Like, who goes to someone's house and shits in their bed?
Well, someone who doesn't want to be invited back for a sleepover, number one. Movie night is now canceled for that guest. They shan't be back. I said shan't. Now, he is starting to look a little... Remember when Michael Jackson started to go crazy and he started to look crazy? Like, even though you didn't know what was going on, his movements. You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought he meant his dress, because that's been going on for nigh on 2 decades.
He was walking into the courthouse, and I saw on TMZ last night, and he just looked nutty. And it could have, part of it is the dress, but it's also, it's getting too thinny. The gait, like, just too thin. The gait seems, it's just, you know how people are, we don't want to admit it, but I mean, we're all wired. Every time I walk my dog, there's another dog coming down the horse trail. I'm profiling the dog, right? Is it a friendly dog? What's it look like? Is its tail wagging? Does it seem weird or angry? Is it old? My dog's 110 pounds. I'll fucking break that dog's hip. I'll be too excited, like. So you see this dog coming toward you 100 feet away, and you're running this process, right? Like, what kind of dog is going to bite my dog? What's the owner look like? They're uptight. They're cool. What are we doing? And I think we're all kind of that way. And when you see somebody walking in the street or anywhere, you kind of do that thing where it's like, does that person have a problem or an issue? Or is that person drunk, or they have a disability, or the mental, whatever? Like, that's all we do is we just scan like the Terminator. And I was just watching Depp, like, walking into the courthouse, and it just seemed like he's going a little nutty. Kind of reminded me when Michael Jackson used to, like, hang the kid off the balcony. Maybe he had that young black football player underneath the balcony out of shot, and we never really knew. Maybe that guy was just waiting. Maybe it was the same guy.
Back enough. Yeah.
Right, but he would do weird things. He'd come out of the courtroom and, like, do his thing, like, turn around and wave everyone and then scurry away. Like, it just, I don't know. It's starting to feel that way with me. That's all.
I want to go back to the Johnny Depp that got a lot of press. I don't know, whenever, maybe 5 years ago, whenever one of the big Pirates movies came out, of him fully dressed, fully in character at the Children's Hospital. Can we just go back to that, Johnny Depp?
Yes, that's right.
That was fantastic.
Yes, I agree. All right, let's. So he's suing the Sun.
Yeah.
I would like to be a fly on the wall if Johnny Depp went into Mark Garagos's office and went like, all right, Mark, I would like to use you because I'm thinking about suing the Sun. And Mark would go, I'm in. What are we talking about? Melanoma here? What do they do? Dry mouth, cotton mouth, whatever. I'll start filing.
Got a redness situation. You're staring into it.
Yeah.
Too bright.
Where'd you do? Fall asleep on the beach? I think we can do this. I'm pretty sure we can get some money out of these people.
Is your lawn dead?
They'll settle. I've known planets to settle. or stars or whatever they are. They'll settle. They'll
They don't want
settle.
the hassle.
They don't want the publicity. They want this
He's
kind
the
of.
lawyer to the stars.
Yeah, and he's having to explain them. It's not the sun. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, last but not least, LifeLock. Cyber criminals are not letting this COVID-19 thing stop them from committing tax fraud. That's right. People are getting an extension on their taxes to July 15th, I believe. And now there's a rise in tax-related identity fraud. Remember, the IRS will not contact you directly by email, text message, or other online platforms. Identity thieves are getting smarter. Look, they're horrible, lazy people. They don't want to break your window. They don't want to get shot with rock salt. They don't want to get bit by your dog. They want to rip you off from their home, and that's what identity thieves do. And that's why you need LifeLock, the leader in identity theft protection. Am I right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. LifeLock and see threats you might miss on your own. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year by using promo code Adam. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com. Use promo code Adam for 25% off.
Well, Judy Gold, that was fun. Yes.
I had fun.
Yeah, let's do it again. I love.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Our pleasure. Yes, I can say that. When they come for comedians, we're all in trouble. I agree wholeheartedly. It's available July 28th on Amazon, but go ahead and pre-order it. And while you're there, go ahead and grab my book. I'm your emotional support animal. It's back in stock, and pre-order Judy's, and let the mirth begin. Podcast is called Kill Me Now with Judy Gold as well. New episodes every week on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. And our website, judygold.com. Go there. Probably have some dates coming up sooner than later, I'm hoping. And mazel tov to your son over there, Tulane.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will, you can go to AdamCarolla.com. I'm going to be on Match Game this Sunday, 10 o'clock on ABC with Cheryl Hines and Mark Duplass and Lonnie Love and Nick Swisher and Allie Wentworth and, of course, Alec Baldwin as well. So go check that out. And go to AdamCarolla.com because I got dates coming up. Dallas, Texas, Addison Improv, July 24th and 25th. And we got a bunch of dates up there, so check that out. Till next time, Adam Carolla for Judy Gold and Jordan Harbinger and Gina Grad and Ball Bryan saying mahalo.